Okay, a couple tips and tricks for water riding. So the guys that water ride all the time, you guys probably know this, but there's a few things to know when you're water riding a Honda. First of all, is a newer machine like this 2024, 2025, whatever this is, they do not idle underwater super well. And what I mean by that is if you let all the way off the throttle and you're very deep underwater, the engine can stall. If that happens, immediately grab the front brake and hit the start button and try to start it in gear, or click it into neutral and start it up. If you get to it quick, a lot of times you can start it up while it's still underwater, and that'll keep the water from going up the exhaust pipe. Good to go. If it doesn't start right up, you got to push it out and then start it once you get the exhaust above the water. Now, the best way to prevent that is to increase the idle speed down here. On this machine, I increased the idle speed a little bit, but when it's a new machine like this, you can't really crank up the idle speed really high because the clutches are all brand new. It'll start trying to drive away on you in first gear. So the idle speed's cranked up a little bit, but the best thing to do is keep a little bit of throttle on this thing anytime the exhaust is under. If you need to come to a complete stop in the water, what you can do is you can keep on the throttle and just hit the rear brake. That'll keep the RPM a little higher and it'll stop the machine. If you don't want to use the rear brake down there, you can also use the rear brake right here. Does the same thing. But you can definitely hold the brake and continue giving a little bit of throttle. That just slips the centrifugal clutch and it keeps it running when the exhaust is under. Okay, that's the first thing you got to know, is that when the exhaust is under, it can stall. Now, as these machines break in and the tolerances get looser, they tend to idle underwater better. Second thing is the four-wheel drive system. So let's see if I can get it to act up. So a lot of times after you go in water, you'll get the dreaded flashing 4x4. So you see how 4x4 is flashing here? That's because this thing just got wet. There's some relays under here. When they get wet, it does this. It's not a big deal. All you got to do when you see the flashing 4x4 is turn the key off, press the four-wheel drive button in, turn the key back on, and now you see it's in four-wheel drive and it's not flashing. And we can go to two-wheel drive and everything works like normal. So that's the trick there. If you get the flashing light, turn the key off, engage four-wheel drive, and turn the key on with the button already pressed, and it kind of clears that out. But yeah, those are the two tricks you got to deal with. If you don't like that four-wheel drive flashing light thing, you can upgrade to this. And I say upgrade like this because this thing is a pain in the ass. It's a manual 4x4 shifter. It uses a cable instead of an electric motor. And you really don't want to do this unless it's your last ditch option, because these things are a pain in the butt, but it is an option. But yeah, just some water riding tips for you guys.